how do we expand economic opportunity for African Americans and Latinos across America? And you know very well, it's been said, that when the economy catches a cold, communities of color get pneumonia. The Great Recession hit our whole country hard, but the toll was especially difficult for Black and Latino families. Black wealth was cut in half. For Latinos, it dropped 66%. That represented decades, even generations of hard work. Rosa Parks opened up every seat on the bus. Now we've got to expand economic opportunity so everyone can afford the fare. Sylvia Mendez and Ruby Bridges helped desegregate our schools. Now we've got to help every family afford the books, computers, and internet access that our kids need to learn in the 21st century. You know, it's hard to write a resume if you have nothing to put on it. We're going to help our young people get that first job so they can get that second job, so they can build a good, solid, middle-class life that will give them and their families a better future. As Ida B. Wells once said, people must know before they can act, and there is no educator to compare to the pressed. Now, many of you are showing the way. It's a badge of honor when Jorge Ramos gets thrown out of a press conference for challenging Donald Trump. Or when another news organization gets banned for reporting what he says. As Jorge said, the best journalism happens when you take a stand, when you denounce injustice. So I hope you'll keep calling it like you see it. Keep holding all of us accountable. Now, I have acknowledged repeatedly that using 2 email accounts was a mistake, and I take responsibility for that. But I do think, you know, having him say that my answers to the FBI were truthful, and then I should quickly add what I said was consistent with what I had said publicly, and that's really sort of, in my view, trying to tie both ends together. Director Comey said that only 3 out of 30,000 had anything resembling classified markers. What does that mean? Well, usually, if any of you have ever served in the government, a classified document has a big heading on the top, which makes very clear what the classification is. And in questioning, Director Comey made the point that the 3 emails out of the 30,000 did not have the appropriate markings. And it was therefore reasonable to conclude that anyone, including myself, would have not suspected that they were classified. And in fact, I think that has been discussed by others who have said 2 out of those 3 were later explained by the State Department not to have been in any way confidential at the time that they were delivered. So that leaves the 100 out of 30,000 emails that Director Comey testified contained classified information. But again, he acknowledged there were no markings on those 100 emails. And so what we have here is pretty much what I have been saying throughout this whole year, and that is that I never sent or received anything that was marked classified. Now, if in retrospect, which is what is behind the 100 number, if in retrospect some different agencies said, but it should have been, although it wasn't, it should have been, that's what the debate is about. But Director Comey said there was absolutely no intention on my part to either ignore or in any way dismiss the importance of those documents because they weren't marked classified. So that would have been hard to do. And I will go back to where I started. I regret using one account. I've taken responsibility for that, but I'm pleased to be able to clarify and explain what I think the bottom line is on this. We have to recognize that, of course, some of the appeal is xenophobic and racist and misogynistic and offensive. We have to acknowledge that. But let's not lose sight of the real pain that many Americans are feeling because the economy has left them behind. So I said it again in my acceptance speech last Thursday, I want to be the president for all Americans. I want to lift up and give everybody a chance to pursue their dreams. And that means people who are supporting him. Every time I have done a job, people have counted on me and trusted me. And at the convention last week, we highlighted the fights of my life, starting as a lawyer for the Children's Defense Fund, taking on the problem of juveniles in adult jails in South Carolina, segregated academies, so-called, in Alabama, fighting for kids with disabilities to get an education, and all the way through the work I did as senator after 9/11 and representing all of you as Secretary of State. So there is, and I take this seriously. Don't doubt that. I take it seriously. So no, I don't take any voter for granted. And I particularly don't take any voter who is placing their trust and confidence in me for granted.